Good morning. Our guest today is Mrs. Claire Pedini,
Morning.
Senior Vice President responsible for Human Resources and Corporate Social Responsibility at Saint-Gobain, one of the biggest company globally and one of the biggest French investors in Poland. What is the cumulative amount of your investment in Poland? And the other question, what are your plans for near future? What projects would be your company concentrated on?
Well, Saint-Gobain started to invest 30 years ago in Poland, so we are quite an old, if I can say, seasoned company investor in this country, which we like a lot. And actually, we invested, I think, a cumulative amount of 10 billion zloty over the last 30 years.
Yeah, so it's something.
Yeah. And Poland is an important country for Saint-Gobain. You know, it's becoming more and more a kind of industrial excellence hub for Saint-Gobain in Europe. So we have 24 companies, many plants, a lot of solutions for our customers, close to 7 billion sales yearly basis. So yeah.
Wow, it's something. And the plans for near future? What projects are you interested in?
Oh, we have a lot of projects. Actually, we are currently investing in the hybridization of the Gliwice glass wool plant, which means that we're going to invest to decarbonate actually the furnace that we have to build glass wool using partly electricity and then less gas, so less CO2 emission. We're also going to invest in structure to recycle the cullet, to take the glass that is coming from deconstruction to put it back into the furnace. So we have many projects. We just opened last week an investment to build ceiling from the Ecofond brand. In Poland, so quite a significant number of investments this year.
And some of them are related to ESG concept, yes?
Yeah, they are.
As I know, because all these carbon emissions and reduction of energy consumption. And so my next question will be about ESG. That is quite, this term is quite new and the concept is quite new. But anyway, it's quite well based in the foreign investment in Poland. Before it was rather in terms of as social investment because it was job creation.
Yep.
Right now we pay more and more attention to these so environmental issues, so reduction of emissions and also energy consumption. And it might be a challenge for investment in Poland as we know our energy sector is based mostly on coal. And how does Saint-Gobain react to this challenge?
Well, actually, we react to the challenge working on 2 feet, if I could say. One, and I'll come back to that. This is your question: is to minimize our footprint and minimize our own consumption. But I would say more importantly, and that's the heart of our strategy, we maximize our impact, meaning that with the solutions we sell, we decarbonate the business of our customers. And that's how also we play a big role in decarbonating the world, the E you mentioned of the EAG, by also selling more performance to our customers with less material. So the pressure also on environment, it's not only energy, it's also consuming less water, having less waste, taking less raw material from the ground. So that's the way we do it, by selling solutions that helps our customers, for example, to insulate the building, so you emit less CO2, or to build light construction, just with the structure with metal, concrete, and then you put the facade and the partition inside, which is usually consuming, I would say, 50% material less, which is then less CO2 because you don't have to produce those materials. So that's for us the most important. Maximize the impact we have by selling our solutions. Now I come to your question. We need to do our homework also, which is how do we minimize our footprint? How do we decarbonize our own production? So one way is, as I was mentioning, to replace gas. We mainly use gas, actually. We don't directly use coal. We use coal through electricity. I'll come back to that. But our main CO2 emission is glass consumption in the gas consumption in the glass business, in the glass wool business, in the gypsum business. And the solution is to replace it by electricity. So not 100%, that's the hybridation I was mentioning earlier in the glass wool. And the second way to do it, and we signed a big contract a few months ago here in Poland, is to contract for green electricity, like with PP, what we call PPAs, green energy. And in that case is wind electricity. And so this year, and this contract was signed for 15 years, 40% of our electricity consumption will be decarbonated thanks to this PPA. So we're making good progress in this country also.
Yeah, so well, it's impressive. And you mentioned already about this. You mentioned already that question of helping your customers with to be more responsible, more sustainable, because Saint-Gobain is one of the biggest producers and distributors of building and construction materials. That is very important for building sector, for real estate sector, and this sector is one of the biggest consumers of raw materials and also one of the biggest emitters of carbon gases. So well, could you more specify a bit more about how do you see your role in making the whole sector more sustainable, more green, more responsible, and in which field you can see big challenges?
You're totally right. The construction industry is responsible for, I would say, 37% of the CO2 emission.
Impressive.
It's impressive, 37%, and close to 40% of the waste. The solid waste is coming from the construction industry. So it's part of the problem, but the good news is it's part of the solution also. And we have those solutions. And if you look at the 37% of CO2, roughly speaking, you have 1/3 which is coming from the new build and 2/3 which is coming from the usage of the building. You know, when you heat or you cool a building using gas or using electricity that is coming from coal, as an example.
Offices with this,
offices, whatever.
With air condition and so on.
Exactly. And when your building is not well insulated, you heat or you warm more than what you could do if the envelope was better, if I could say, more efficient. So we have two ways to decarbonate that. So one way is to work on the new build, this first third, as I mentioned. And there we come to what we call the light construction, which actually means that you are only building the structure of the building, so the pillars and the floors and the ceiling, and you are filling the facades, if I could say, or the partition internally, with material that are renewable because they are recyclable, glass, plasterboard, and not with bricks or not with concrete. And those two are the ones that consume a lot of CO2. Concrete consumes a lot of CO2. So if you can build lighter, you can actually decrease by 50% the raw material and the carbon, the CO2 emission that are needed to do that. So that's the solution for the new build.
For new building.
Okay? The solution, and obviously Saint-Gobain has the product for that, whether it is the glass facades, whether it is the plasterboard partitions, whether it is also the additives that we sell to the concrete industry to decarbonize their own processes in the chemical construction industry. So we address that through the light constructions. And the two other thirds, which is the how do you better insulate the house, is actually the heart of Saint-Gobain's business. That's where we do the majority of our sales, and that's where we sell this insulation, whether it's glass wool or the mineral wools, or whether it's plasterboard, or whether it's glass also, which glass is a very contrary to what we think. Sometimes you have a better insulation with glass than with a wall because of the coating that you put on glass, which makes it extremely efficient in terms of keeping the heat or preventing the heat to come into the building. So that's really where we bring a lot of value to our
And what
customers.
about cost? Because I know that when some companies in Poland say that the traditional way brick and mortar buildings are cheaper, and this new solution, the green buildings, are more expensive. And well, in our country, as we are not very rich yet, so it might be a problem for many companies with the rising cost of construction, and also the rising cost of insulation of the old buildings. Yes, we know that it's very important from this. So not only from the environmental, but also from the social point of view, as is the rising cost of living. Yes.
Yes and no, and it depends how you look at it. First of all, the part of the product, if I look at from the Saint-Gobain perspective, the part of the product that we sell as part of the whole investment in the building is not the majority of it.
Sure.
Okay, so having an extra good insulation is not changing dramatically the cost, the big cost of the building.
And besides, the decrease is related to the cost of maintenance. Yes.
And the cost of maintenance is much less. You're right. So you're exactly what I wanted to say. You need to look at it as an investment, and you need to look at the payback. And actually, it's a bad for a good, if I could say. The fact that the energy price is high makes the payback even better. You know, because
and faster.
And faster. Yeah, exactly. So no, I'm very optimistic. I know that, you know, in the very short term, you're right. There is inflation. There is a market which is certainly a little bit more lumpy or difficult than what we had in the past years. But in the years and decades to come, the work to do is huge. You know, just if you think a minute about the fact that 85% of the buildings that will exist in 2050 exist already today. So renovation, if you want to be efficient in the building, not only from a CO2 perspective, but also from a comfort perspective. You know, renovating schools, renovating hospitals, so that the comfort, the well-being, and then the productivity is increasing. It has to be done on existing buildings.
And I've heard that you have another ideas for the existing buildings to build lighter constructions over them. Yes. Because that could be, I mean, this perspective for a new development of housing. And what is your perspective on the future of building industry? It would be green, or just completely change the technology later?
And not completely change the technology. I would say, you know, if we step back a minute, the real problem, the true problem of mankind today is decarbonation. We have to decarbonate the way we work, the way we live, the way we move, the way we do everything, the way we eat also. It's full of meat, as an example.
Change, yes, our diet.
Okay. Our problem is to decarbonate. As we were saying, construction industry is one third of the problem. But the good news, coming back to your point, is that the solutions, we have them now. We don't have to change, we don't need to invent whatever new fancy technology like fusion versus fission in the nuclear industry or whatever. The solutions exist. They are there today. And Saint-Gobain knows how to produce them. So yes, there could be some, and there are investment and innovation. Saint-Gobain innovates a lot in, as I was saying, new additives, in selling solutions, not only technical, but also the way you produce, the way you build. You know, can you prefab to accelerate the construction? There are many innovations that we put in the market. But I insist, the good news is that we know today how to do it. So it can be extremely quick. There is no, you know, magic solution that we wait for or that we have to expect.
Okay, so it's right now. Okay, another challenge, and at the same the big, I think, opportunity for companies is in the other field is the digital transformation. I guess that also for your business is the digital transformation that was has developed much faster after the pandemic is right now at a big topic.
True,
yes,
yeah.
and especially for big companies because we say that that the transformed companies will need more different skills. So it means reskilling and upskilling of employees, especially big employers. And for big employers, and as we know, the Saint-Gobain is one of the biggest employers. Around the world, you employ about 170,000 people around. Yes, in Poland, 7,000.
7,000, yeah.
And so, what are your plans for this challenge? Are you prepared to for such scale of reskilling, upskilling of people?
Huge question. Huge question. We started years ago, actually. We started years ago.
Besides with your new technologies all over, yes.
Yeah, and we started everywhere because, you know, digitalization is, it's less known, but as an example, it starts in the plants. How do you instrument your production line, your furnace, so that you gather the data? And so do you have the right people to do the analytics, the programming, so that they can analyze this data and optimize the production. So there was a significant program that named DNA that we launched a few years ago, was, by the way, which was managed by our current Polish CEO, Joanna Schins, who did a fantastic job on this domain, and we implemented worldwide. And actually in Poland, I was in Gliwice, which was last year, we saw the benefit of this program. And to link to your previous questions, it also helps to consume less energy and to pollute less because you optimize all the parameters, I would say, in the factory. So factory and plants are one way. So we upgrade and we skill our blue collars, our engineers, so that they know how to manage. You have also data and digital for the salespeople. You know, how they can better work on the data they have of their customers, on their customers. You have, of course, also all the support functions, not to name people working in R&D, where they use all the digital topics. So you're absolutely right. It covers everyone. And so what we do in Saint-Gobain is that we put in place training, dedicated training for our people, depending on the job they're in, to make sure that they are upskilling. Right now, actually, we are putting in place a program on artificial intelligence, how to use it.
Yeah.
Is it how to use it smartly to increase the productivity? What are the dangers? Also, training the people how to make sure that we are, using it the right way. So it's a journey, and it's a never-ending experience. And you can also see digital coming into the market, with the BIM, the building that is now, I would say, designed with digital.
Yes, we are talking about this intelligent buildings. Yes, not
exactly.
only green, but
not
also
only,
intelligent.
not only.
Yes,
but in that case, it helps the green.
Yes, exactly. Okay, a woman journalist talking to a woman manager can omit a topic of diversity, the women share in management, and also the equal chances for men and women in the companies. Your sector, the production of construction and building materials, is generally considered, I think, in public opinion, as a field of men. And however, factories, I mean, this hard, the construction sites, factories of gypsum and other components, so it seems exact for men. However, women, including yourself, have almost 40% share in the executive committee of Saint-Gobain. So we almost reached the target set by the European Union directive for 2026. And what about other managerial positions? Are the women ready right now they want to work in such, let's say, hard industry? And if they want to advance in such hard industry?
you're right to say that this industry was not an easy one for women. But like everywhere, when you put in place a plan, when you train, when you explain, especially when you explain the benefit of diversity. You're talking about gender diversity, but the benefit of diversity, generally speaking. In a company like Saint-Gobain, which is well structured, I would say, you make a lot of progress. I remember joining Saint-Gobain in 2010. There was 16% of women in the management, at the management level. Today, we are close to 29.
Oh. Almost twice.
Yeah. Poland is quite advanced, actually. We have 37% of managers that are women in Poland. And as I've said earlier, our CEO in Poland is a woman. So, I think, again, when you prepare for it, when you train, when you communicate, when you also put the right KPI, you measure. When you have a management that is committed to it, you bring this diversity. And actually, you bring the value that goes with it. Because sometimes, and as a woman, I can say it, I can be a little bit cynical. Diversity is nice, but what do we get from it? Yeah? Because it has to be win-win. And I was myself younger, sometimes considered that, oh, she's a woman, so okay, we must have her because we need the quota or because we need. And that's not acceptable. So we need also to convince the men and to show the women that it's win-win, it's positive. And you cannot imagine the value around a table when you have people coming from different horizons that have their own experience, that bring the ideas that nobody would have thought about because it's not my center of expertise or culture, and that's how you innovate. That's how you serve your customer better. That's how you bring to the market new solutions that you wouldn't have even thought about because everybody is the same. So the value of diversity is fantastic. Having said that, sometimes you need to push a little bit more than showing there is value, and make sure that people truly make it happen. So you need to force. So I had to take some decisions in terms of promotions or in terms of hiring, saying, okay, if people are at the same level, then we choose for the diversity candidate. But only if it is the same level.
Yes.
No positive discrimination in terms of.
Because I think I've heard some accusations that if we introduce quota for women, it will be the women will be promoted not exactly on the very
but that's the
even
risk.
basis. Yes,
that's the risk. You're right. Yeah. That's why I've always been very very strong on that. No compromise on competence. Skills, potential growth, but a strong push, to have this equal opportunity.
And do you support the quota that will be introduced by the European Union? Or do you think that companies rather should appreciate the benefits of diversity? In an ideal world, we should not use quota. Okay, but okay, we do not live in the ideal world.
Yeah, you're right. But as we go for it, I think many companies understand the value. You must be blind if you don't understand the value of diversity. If you have not experienced it, so. The question comes back to one of the questions you asked before about training. Because you cannot decide that in 3 years there will be 50-50 or 40-60 or whatever it's 40-60 the ratio is. We need to prepare for that. And I think that's what we did rather well in Saint-Gobain, preparing the women to grow, making their career plan so that they can reach the level at which they are today, but, supporting them, because that's what we do for men. So why do we decide that, okay, in 3 years there should be, no. So companies that will be successful will be the one that will have prepared for that. And I think Saint-Gobain did. prepare.
Yeah. It would be it would be a good advice for companies that have some 2 years to prepare for.
I'm not giving advice. I'm talking about Saint-Gobain.
Yes. But I know that a lot of companies are just they do not have a big. They have quite small share of women, and right now they are looking around and thinking what will be happening in these 2 years.
So then the work we have to do is to retain the good ones, and we're very careful for that.
Yes, and with quite a bit competition between companies. Yes, because
it shows their talent. It shows their talent. That's good.
Because the talents are scarce.
Yeah,
yes?
absolutely.
And do you have problems with talent attraction right now? Because I think that every company competes for talent. Yes?
Yeah.
I mean, the competition is right, a global competition. Yes, because even we can feel in Poland because a couple of years ago, without this remote work, it was much easier for employers to retain talents. Right now, they can expect offers from every country.
Yeah, that's true. If you work remotely, it can be great. Thank God, there are many jobs that you cannot do remotely, and we have plans. We have plans. It exists. It's there, people. But more seriously, you're right. This is where we have to continue to do a good homework, if I would say, because why do you retain the talent? Why do you retain someone? Because you have a purpose. And the person knows why and what for he or she comes every day in the office. The purpose of the company, in case of Saint-Gobain, making the world a better home. The purpose of the work of the team I'm working with, my colleagues, and my purpose on my job. What am I here for? What is my job? So the purpose is extremely important. The second is the values. How do I feel good in the value of Saint-Gobain? Do I feel respected? Do I feel that we have solidarity? Do I feel that I have trust? Do I experience that on my day-to-day? Third, which is very important also, is the working environment. I mean, the human environment. Do I like my boss? Am I happy with my colleagues on the day-to-day? So the human atmosphere is very important. And fourth, which is very key, is what is my perspective? Can I grow in this company? Or I have a job and I'll see. Then if I don't see my next step, I may go and see where is my next step, and it could be somewhere else. And funny enough, I would put compensation rather low. Because I never saw someone leaving for a compensation change, because the person goes outside, look for a job, and if the compensation is better, yes, I go. But the triggering factor was that the mobility or the career path was not there, or I don't like my boss, or I don't know what I'm doing there, what's my purpose, and after comes the compensation. Okay. Does not mean you don't have to compensate rightly the people. You need to be exactly where you should be. Exactly where you should be. But that's not the triggering factor.
Okay, so thank you very much for your interesting comments and opinions. And thank you. Our guest was Claire Pedini, Senior Vice President of Saint-Gobain Group, responsible for human resources and corporate social responsibility. Thank you.